Today is Friday, August 1st, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is the first Friday recap of August. There's August, September, October, November, December. August, September, October, November, December. We're over halfway through the year. We've got 5 months left. This is the second month of Q3. Starting off how we always do, in one sentence. In one word, how you feeling today? And in one sentence, what do you need today?
In one word, how am I feeling today? Discombobulated. Great word. I feel like it's a great rapper name. In one sentence, what do I need? I feel like I need more. I need. What do I truly need? I need to give myself more time to separate signal from noise, or to think about what is the signal from the noise, and then separate it. Lots of noise coming in.
You want to talk about any of the examples?
Just examples are just like I'm going through the admin dashboard and trying to analyze product usage, and there's just so many data points, and I'm trying to figure out, just like a lot of it is just like what are we tracking that matters? What are we missing? Are my algorithms set up correctly to like track the right shit? So it's software development is overwhelming.
Oh, so people are using the product?
And now we got to figure out what is the good stuff, or how to make them use it more.
What a blessing to have so much usage of our product that we feel overwhelmed by data and need to better sort it to determine how we feel.
I like the way you're putting it. That's a good spin on it. How about you? What do you need? How do you feel? What do you need?
I feel sleepy. I need to figure out how to get Gemini to keep going on the create artist flow to maintain the wow moment on the first interaction that humans have with the Recoup system.
Agree.
I've got a lot of marks on my notebook from last week talking about some of the things that I've scratched off so that I can fully delete them.
Cool.
This time last week, we had said we were getting hit by Anthropic rate limits, and my main goal was to ship V5, update our model to Gemini, fix the bugs that you had found, and we did those things. We have now updated to AI SDK V5. We have shifted from Anthropic's Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which we've been using for months. We've switched to Gemini 2.5 Flash. We are no longer seeing any rate limits. 0 rate limits are found. Email tool has been fixed so that it's no longer throwing the errors that it was throwing before. Email tool now works again. The Q param was fixed. That was one of the bugs that you had found. We updated to using gateways instead of directly using the models, so that way we can easily swap out whatever LLM that we want. That's the majority of what I have written. Veerball's side continues to grow. And meanwhile, he is coming to me and saying that he needs more tickets. So there seems to be a gap between the goals that we are talking about and how we're communicating that to him, because on my list, I still see a list full of items. but he is coming to me and asking me for tickets. So we are not communicating making it a question instead of a statement. How can we better communicate with Veerball so that the list that I'm looking at is being worked on and progressed, and the list is getting smaller instead of us continuing to toss things onto Veerball's list and them not getting done. I was able to cross a lot of things off in that little yap. Makes me want to jump into Supabase and actually show you that the errors were improved.
Yes.
Is there a different direction that you want? We'll go there.
Yes, please.
Cool. Emotionally or qualitatively, how have you felt about the errors from last week into this week with all those changes? Errors being the things that stop a conversation and halt it with an error message that people can't proceed from. They get an error message that pops up. They try to send another message. They see the same thing and they're unable to go any further in the conversation.
If we have reduced rate limits to 0, I am incredibly happy qualitatively.
Let's see. Oh yeah, we still are getting this. Are you seeing it on your side as well?
Yeah, it just came up. I have to reset the card, I guess, again, which I will do.
No worries. Okay, so we go into the error logs table. This is how we are measuring. We are already sorting by error timestamp descending. So today is the 1st of August. Today we've had 4 errors. Those errors were 3 from me testing locally. These objects came from me just a little while ago. And then this one also, so all of these were from me testing locally. No, these 3 were from me that happened just a couple minutes ago. And then this one, in unsupported toolpart state input available, is the first I'm seeing of that. Yesterday, the 31st, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 errors. We had 1 request timeout. That was from me. I was testing, and it was on the create artist flow. And it sat there thinking, and eventually, I guess, just exceeded the time limit that it can think, which was surprising. Unable to submit request because it must include at least 1 part. This is something related to Gemini that we need to look at. Invalid input for tool send email. Yesterday, I had fixed the send email tool, so these were either bugs before I had fixed it or while I was testing getting those. We have now finally gotten people to exceed the 1,000,000 token limit. Before we had a 200,000 token limit, so 1/5. We're now exceeding 1,000,000 tokens. So we got to start thinking about how we want to manage that. Invalid tool input for name, tool input. This was send email, should be fixed now. Unable to submit request because it includes a tool part that is not valid from Gemini. The
Question.
30th.
Can you filter this by the time? Is it filtered by time, like this last week, the last 7 days?
What date would that be? It is currently not, but I can set a cutoff date down below.
Friday, August 1st. So 1 week from Friday was what? What's 1 week ago was?
July 24th or 25th?
Let me pull up. Yes.
The
Friday,
25th?
July 25th, yeah.
It's already filtered on that. And we have 5 pages. We have 500 records since last Friday.
496. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Because I'm looking at my product usage dashboard with the user leaderboard, and I have 448 system errors. Mine says I'm also filtering.
Are you including the 25th or are you excluding? I am including.
I'm probably excluding, which is why our numbers are off, or like it's
close
to the exact time, like currently. So it's like missing like half a day probably. My biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out is mine says rate limit had 374 errors.
That sounds right.
Oh, it does?
I mean, yeah, I mean, up until what date was Monday? Monday was the 28th.
Oh, okay. So during the weekend, we were probably getting them. Okay, got it.
Exactly. So I'm looking at on the 28th, I'm seeing on the first page, like 50% of the errors were failed at 3 attempts, rate limit from Anthropic. And then
Yeah, gotcha.
there's 4 more pages over the weekend of errors. Likely the majority of those are rate limit. So the best way to really see what happened after the change is to filter after this timestamp of the 28th. So if I copy this and then we change the created at to after Monday, we have 28. So that
Perfect.
since the
Okay, cool.
change, there's 28 errors that have happened. On Friday of last week alone, there were 61 errors that were all related to rate limit. So let's assume that continued 60 on Friday, 60 on Saturday, 60 on Sunday. The morning of Monday, 4 times 6 is 240. Somehow we got an extra 400, but since
Yeah, I'm
we've
sure a
changed,
lot of it was.
have reduced down to 28 in total for the entire week that has
Yeah,
happened.
dude. Amazing.
And inside of this, I'm not seeing anything that says rate limit. It's like unsupported tool state. The send email was a big one.
And
It
you got
seems
rid
like
of that one too, right?
say again.
That one should be fixed now too. You fixed that
That
yesterday?
one should also be. I fixed that one yesterday, so and now I haven't seen any of that issue today, so that one should also be fixed.
So what I'm going to do is I will update my user leaderboard system errors to have the error totals, but then like break it down in a drop down between like rate limit by what days, so we can kind of filter it and make it a little easier to see. Although like by next Thursday, your implementations will have been taken effect. Or by next Monday, the rate limits will take an effect, and then Thursday the other one. So, all right, we're on a good path for errors, and now we just need to decide, or we just need to identify what the other ones are. And
Correct.
yeah, cool. Awesome.
Correct. They're overall, in my opinion, the errors are small in edge cases, and 28 errors for the entire week is an order of magnitude smaller than what we were seeing before. So
28 errors for the entire week, and then like minus dev errors. Right?
Minus dev errors, right? Because yeah, a lot of these are likely from me and Veerball testing locally.
Yeah. Although, are we also? I don't know if we're tracking. Are the errors? Remember when I sent you the little bug? I sent you a bug that was like a front end bug. Are we capturing that?
That one, you're talking about when you went on the page and it crashed, and secondhand talent, the same thing.
Yeah.
That was it. That has been fixed. That one was originally tracked because it was a send email tool fail for both of you. The send email tool failed. And then when you tried to go back, it continued to throw an error. We have now fixed that. But so to answer your question, that got reported when the send email tool failed. However, on the front end, that the front end page was crashing, that was not reported. So
that's fine.
Yes, yes, it was reported because the send email tool was the reason, and that got reported. But the fact that the page was crashing was not reported.
Okay, great. Sweet. All right. Well, fuck yeah, you hit your goal.
Reading off of Veerball's list. Thank you. On Veerball's side, from 2 weeks ago, what I have written from the furthest back, and I'll work up to more recently, segments. Segments was the high level goal. We had said high level product review into Notion, agents tab, onboarding, initial chat input, create new artists. You wanted him to do an overall audit of everything. Have you received the audit that you're looking for?
No, but I want to talk about that because I think you make a good point with like, are these Notion docs valuable, or can we use that time for more value?
Cool. So that was 2 weeks ago. Segments currently more or less in a stuck state unless we want to spin up a third temporary account. I'm leaning towards leave it broke and focus on other tools unless we're really missing out by not having Apify in, unless we're losing customers right now. The other things that Veerball had on their list was missing fan social data, which he wrote up a doc about, and we can talk about more. The segments button, which he had initially built, on the homepage, and then we asked him to remove it when segments broke. Well, when we hit our limits in Apify. Hide the segments button in the nav bar. If you don't have any segments, that's been done. Remove the YouTube error has been done, and chart metric was thrown into it. An initial question what he asked me was, what is chart metric? And I sent him the docs for chart metric, and outside of that, nothing else has happened. So I'll delete the remove YouTube arrow because we did that, and then the segments button, that code was written and then later removed when it got broke. And then we said send chat URL. Oh yeah, set active artist. That one was a race condition when Sid said this was a blocker for him announcing new features, the ability so that when someone clicks a link, it opens up the chat, adds the artist, and makes it the active artist. That has been fixed. So Sid should be unblocked on sending out new marketing emails.
Can we test that? How do we test it? Or was it tested?
Yeah, let me open up mine, and I'll find an artist that you don't have and a conversation you don't have, and I'll send it to you. And then you tell me if it works as expected. Okay. You likely now have Beautiful Course because I added it to you last week. Do you have J Beebs?
No.
The King of Swag? Who am I? I actually don't think I've asked any questions in this yet. This will be the first prompt. I don't have access to your personal info. Active artist. Okay. Short. Send this to not super in depth. Okay. Come over here, send it to Sid. Do you want to take over sharing so that everybody can see what the experience is like when you send a link?
Yeah.
Wow, we got 50 people tuned in. This is higher than usual. Thank you all 50 people who are tuned in.
Let's go. Where's my Slack? Got it. And we're here.
Look at that active artist.
Look at this. All right. Wait, can you see my screen?
I see your screen.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Worked well, right? You have Justin Bieber now, and he's your active artist?
Yes. And then let's see. Perfect. All right, cool. I like it. All right. It works. Perfect. Thank you. That's going to be super helpful. Where do you want to go to next?
So on your side, what I have written down that you said is you said 5 new leaderboard. You wanted 24 management, 30 tigers, rostrum, filterless, and PV friends. And you said we had also said hard to build and ship and hit business outcomes. I think the main thing you said was that you had said your main goal was that you wanted 5 new people on the leaderboard, 24 management, 30 tigers, rostrum, filterless, and PV friends. Can you share the leaderboard and show if that if your work was effective at achieving that goal?
Yes. All right. So here is the leaderboard. So we have new users on the leaderboard. Sarah West is on it.
30 tigers.
30 tigers, yes. Rostrum did not get to. What I'm realizing, or at least this week, what I realized was because of the knowledge base discrepancy between V4 and V5, I had to do a lot of the manual deep research creation, which took a long time to onboard artists and set up people's accounts. So I spent a bulk of the majority of my time. Actually, let me show you, because I have this Notion that I set up to make it even easier. So last week, I spent my time onboarding all of these people, which is mainly Rostrum, Willie, here's a new user, and setting up their artists. So all of these artists. They also asked for lookalike artists, which I haven't gotten to yet. But this took the majority of my time, was just onboarding and getting in meetings. But I set this up, and I'll send this to you, or I don't know if you already have access to it, but like just like a more updated version of the sales pipeline. I took everybody who was in trial but hasn't been active and threw them back to the backlog. So this is way more up to date. I went through and kind of like analyzed who our current customers are that are actually paying, who's in trial, and then who's still onboarding, which means like they have an account, or I set them an account, but I haven't like officially gave them the green light to start going crazy. And so, yeah, I think what I'm realized this, well, actually, look, if we actually go through the, this, I want to kind of walk through like last 30 days. So what I'm realizing is our monthly active users are going up. So whether it's word of mouth or you on Twitter and Farcaster, or me on Instagram and LinkedIn, whatever it is, like our monthly active users are going up. Our product market survey fit ready users are going down, meaning people are coming in, trying the product, and then not using it again, except for a couple of the power users who are coming back. And we can go in and like click this actually and see, here's the people that were active and how active they were over the month. Something that I need to verify on this dashboard is scheduled actions, like what's going on with why this number is dropping. I'm trying to figure that out. Like why is this number going down? Why are people not using the product over the last 2 weeks? I also looked at Zach's actions, and he's like a lot of the same ones. Actually, let me see some of these. Weekly creator outreach from Marmalade, weekly creator outreach from Marmalade, weekly creator outreach from us. I don't know if this is like, this seems like it's like he might have just pressed a bunch of them at the same time. Yeah. Or done it a bunch. And so thinking through if this is a glitch, he hasn't hit me up and like said like I get too many emails. So like I also need to set up tracking for if it's a scheduled action with an email send, are the emails hitting the inboxes so we can see if they're actually, if the full loop is being complete. Another thing that brought people down is I know like EDOT was off for 2 weeks. So, Sam Palm was off for 2 weeks. So a couple of our active users took off, which then dropped these numbers. So I'm curious to see like kind of when they go back. But the big question becomes like, how do we have a lot of people joining, and when they join for that first time in that create new artist flow, how do we make that so good and wow that they want to keep using it? or like is maybe there's a second thing where like that's the wow moment, and then like we move to like an educational tutorial after that. But yeah, just thinking through like what's going to keep people from like using it once or twice and then coming back, you know. I also have been thinking through this like concept of payments and credits and usage based versus not, and per artist versus per account. And the uh, more that I realize, like we've been trying to play the per artist game, but I think that it should be a per user game because everybody's used to that. And I think that we should have tiers, um, which then give people more the ability to have I'm sorry, like each tier caps the amount of artists, the amount of segments, the amount of credits used, whatever we want to cap, and then unlock those tiers accordingly. And if you want credits and like a larger supply of uh, credits across all artists, we can do that in a customer or in an enterprise version where you pay a larger sum, but you have 30 licenses or 50 licenses or whatever. Just I think like just not trying to reinvent the wheel of sales and credits and stuff. All right, so does that answer your question and where we're at with customer onboarding? I hit up a bunch of people last week. I got one of them onto the leaderboard. The other one I haven't onboarded yet, and the other three we haven't gotten to the place of like being able to push them to join or to re-engage them. I think that now that I'm unblocked with sending messages, I will be able to email them prompts and like, hey, check this out, click this button, do this, and hopefully that will reactivate them and re-engage them. All right.
What is the single most challenging impediment that prevented you from getting 24 management, rostrum, filterless, and PB friends on the leaderboard? What's the most succinct way you could phrase what the blocker was?
Filterless was out of town, so that's out of my control. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, no, 24 management was out of town. Filterless was, the blocker was me being able to send him emails to click through because he was responsive to my emails, but like to get him on a call and like get him using it again, it was like, it would have taken, it's going to take too long. So being able to send them links is I think the big one. Rostrum, the blocker was, wait, say again?
Which you're now unblocked on, right? No longer blocked.
Yeah, now I'm blocked. So like filterless should be on the leaderboard next week. Rostrum, the blocker was the onboarding or the create new artist flow. Was just taking, like I had to do that manually. It was taking me forever. So I didn't get a chance to onboard them fully. Like I still have artists that I need to upload to one of their accounts. And then what's the other blocker? That was the biggest ones.
The create new artist flow.
The create new artist flow, and the two things you unblocked me on, or yeah, the create new artist flow. If it's still an
blocked.
Issue.
Still an issue.
Yeah.
Cool. Things that I would like to discuss are mainly going into next week. What are our priorities? Are there other high-level goals you'd like to talk about or subjects relating to this past week of reflection or observations from the past week, or are we ready to start moving into the week coming?
I think we can start to move into the week coming. I want to start with, on your end, what do we need to finish Is there anything that we didn't finish last week that we need to finish going into next week, like the create new artist flow, or any bugs like that?
Your list of bugs, I think we want to communicate those over to Veerball because those are well-defined tasks. He's looking for well-defined tasks. Get him those. That way he does those tasks if those tasks are important. I did a couple of them. We did a couple of them, both myself and Veerball. I think get the rest of that list over to him so he can work on it. The create new artist flow. I need to think through what the best way is. I've tried a couple different things. I tried adding stop when. I thought that would make it continue to go until it hit that stop condition, which is not the case. Sometimes it'll stop before the stop when, if it feels it has already accomplished the task. I tried updating the system prompt and the prompt for some of the tools. That might still be the way, and I just haven't done it right, but I tried one attempt and it did not work. Where I'm thinking of trying next, where I've been trying today, is on a prepare step. There's a new in the V5 SDK of Vercel's AI SDK. They now include a prepare step prop that before it thinks and replies, it gives you a chance to change the system prompt, change the model, just like understand the current status, and then specifically tell it, the LLM, use this tool, use this model, change the system prompt, change the messages. And so what I'm thinking of doing with that is I can verify the tools that have already been called. If create new artist has been called, if Spotify has not been called, check Spotify first. If create new artist has been called and Spotify has been called, and you've already associated it with the artist, call the web research next. And I force it to call web research next instead of immediately jumping to the knowledge base. And then I just kind of create for our longer tool chains a set of like in ordering that we expect and give it some level of freedom to pick what tools it has. But as it gets to these stuck places, it seems like every time it connects the Spotify, it then stops and says, I'll let you know when I've finished the research. And so at that point, I would like to throw where one of the hypotheses is I can throw in a manual tool override and say, you've checked Spotify, you're in the create artist flow. You have not yet searched the web, search the web. You've searched the web, you've done these things, you haven't called the knowledge base, create the knowledge base. And then like, don't allow it to stop or throw in any tools that are missing in that create artist flow using the prepare step. So that's one idea. The other idea is we can also change the model. And so if we really want a wow moment, in my mind, the reason that it has gone down, the create new artist flow has gone down is not because we went from V4 to V5, but we switched from Claude to Gemini, and the model just requires more work with Gemini. And so one thing we could do, if the create new artist tool is what's being called, swap the model for Claude, and then we keep the create artist flow on Claude. Potential downsides of that are our costs are going to go back up for those. Our costs are going to, that's the biggest one, is our costs are going to go back up for that. Those are the two things I'm thinking through. Either use the prepare, in both cases, it's going to use the prepare step. One option is forcing the tool override and looking at the tools that have already been called and guiding it with more tools, but keeping it on our inexpensive Gemini model, or knowing that it was already working with Anthropic. If the create new artist tool gets called, use Anthropic for all following calls within this conversation. Out of those two, do you have a preference on which one I explore more?
Do we know which one, or do we know the cost, average cost, or can we figure out average cost of create new artist with 3.7 or like even Claude 4?
Claude 4 is going to be, I think, 3 times more expensive than 3.7 on both input and output.
Like
there's on 3.7, I'm estimating it between $1 and $4 on napkin math, between $1 and $4 per artist being set up, which would make Claude 4, if it's three times more expensive. I have not every time I see the pricing, it makes me laugh, and then I don't even try thinking of it practically. I believe it's 3 times more expensive, which would make it between $3 and $12 for the Create Artist Flow on Claude 4.
Okay, so there's two options, and I think both of them are valid to think through, because both of them also will modularly affect other things that we build. So it's deciding which one will affect it, which one will be faster to implement and affect our build the most. On one route, by figuring out how to chain Gemini, we will be able to use the product less expensively.
Correct.
I like that. On the other hand, by setting it up so that that specific flow works off of a separate model, I feel like if you were to go down that route to build, the more modular approach would be like, how do you build a system where, like, when we have these long prompt chains, that we can run it through 4 or 5 different models to see the outputs of each one, to see what were our costs, what was our output, which one do we like more, and then from there be able to decide, oh, Grok 4 is great for this, and it's cheap, it's fine because this only happens 3 times a month, versus, oh, a user's always doing this one thing, and we're getting the best good output off of Gemini 2.5, right? So like allowing us to be able to identify more, just run, I guess, more evals of like this long prompt chains. What are they capable of doing? What models are better, et cetera. Anyways, I say all of that to say I don't know the answer. And what do you think?
Which principle is more important to navigate this decision around reducing our burn as a company, or being able to run evals / programmatic testing across multiple different LLMs? Which one is a priority in terms of the business goals of the company at this current point? Reducing and keeping costs low, or iterating over multiple different language models and determining costs and effectiveness of each LLM?
The first one.
Keeping costs low?
Yeah.
I would agree. In that case, I'll work on Create New Artist Flow is the prototype for this new model that we have. This was not possible with V4. Now that we're on V5, you have access to the prepare step function. And before, we had written a lot of our tool chains in the description not on the front end, but in the tool description itself. And now we have more control over it, that we'll be able to span across models with the prepare step to be able to specify specific tools. So we will use prepare step with tool overrides. And that will be our first approach for trying to create new artists back on par with the wow moment that we had on Claude 3.7, but doing it with a model that is way less expensive. In terms of costs, how are we looking? Have you noticed billing? What were we at billing wise before we switched to Gemini?
We were at $90 a day. But I haven't been in Vercella to check how much of the $100 credit we've used so far.
So $90 a day times 7 days comes out to $650 a week, or is
more, right? Oh
that
no.
accurate?
Yeah,
You were
yes.
seeing like 650 a week?
Yeah.
Or is that what you were, was it 90 a week and 650 a
No,
month?
no, we were hitting 90 a day.
So you were seeing multiple thousands of dollars in LLM costs per month?
Correct.
Okay. As of, we have spent a week with Sid loading up $100 in credits into the AI gateway. That would, if we were on Claude 3.7, we would be down to less than $10. Instead, we have spent about 25% of those credits,
Nice.
and the average is still showing as $0. So we're spending less than a penny per thought that is happening, and on the high side, a couple pennies.
Awesome.
So costs have dropped drastically. We can now run a 1 month budget, what we were running with Claude 3.7, and that lasts us a month. $100 now lasts us a month. So instead of you seeing multiple thousands, we'll call it $2,000, reduced down to $100. That is a 20x reduction in costs. You take 2,000 divided by 20, that gets you to 100. So we've reduced costs by 20x, which allows us to now, you just decided that cost is still important. So we're not going to go and expand our models, which would drop our credits more. We're going to try to stay with the least expensive model and stretch the value of it as much as possible, which I agree is a more valuable way for us to be building. So
I agree. I think it's a good idea. And then that way, like, we can stretch it as far as we can, and we always have headroom. If we hit our wall and we're like, we can't get this agent run to work, we can be like, well, let's try another model for, like, but at least that way we know we're stretching the dollar as far as possible. That is called bootstrapping, because if we were funded, we would be like, fucking every best model, go crazy.
right. Yes, I agree. This is one of the benefits of us choosing to bootstrap instead of venture funding is we're operating and trying to keep our finances lean, whereas other venture-backed teams would just pick the most expensive and smartest model. We are focusing on a less expensive model and trying to train it better. And as more models come out, we can try different models. So we talked about last week, we reflected a little bit on how the price has gone and how our credit usage has been. We've talked a little bit about what we want to do next week. A blocker, the create new artist, that is a bug that needs to be fixed. We want to focus on the prepare step with tool overrides to try to solve that. We've also talked about billing. Other things that were written down from that are still on Beerball's list are segments, high-level product review, and missing fan social data. I think I'd like to start with analyzing if Beerball's list stays there or if we delete those items and make space.
I think we
Is
delete
that
the
an okay
items
direction to go?
delete the items and make space.
Delete segments, delete high-level product overview, delete missing fan social, and let's get it on a fresh slate to fill with new items.
Correct. I think segments we need to put in the backlog because it's a feature that was being used by a lot of people, and now that it's not available, those people have churned from the product market fit list. But again, going back to like we still need to figure out how to stretch Gemini further, which will then enhance our segments, et cetera, et cetera. So it's cart before the horse situation. And then also just we'll wait till Apify. There is another thing that I want to bring up that I want to work on next week, which kind of I think goes hand in hand with the create new artist flow, which is release reports or a release report prompt chain. Sam has been emailing with me back and forth. I don't know if you've been following along with those emails. And we got the chart metric API to add to his account. But I think I think when we got that got thrown in, we we really should talk about like why would we be using the chart metric API? What is the request from the user, and how can it become more modular? And it boils down to him requesting the release report. And I force function dust finishing the tool or the prompt chain to do a demo not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, because he's scheduled a meeting with us to show our progress. So we have a meeting with Sam to show him how far we can go with a release report, a release report. And we have 3 human-made reports that he sent us. And I ran evals, and I got notes back from him on what he likes about each report from the evals, which I want to share with you. And the goal is to create an agent that can be used to mimic his release reports. Have you checked out the Figma? Do you want me to share it and go into that?
I've seen it. Go ahead and share.
Okay, cool. All right, so if we go into the Figma, this is the first one I ran. This is the email that he sent me that he wanted replicated. He was like, hey, can an agent write these release reports? This specific release report was for this artist and this song. I then created this prompt, the first prompt, which is perform deep research, write a comprehensive campaign report, gather marketing data, write their campaign email, etc. I ran that through Recoup when we were using Claude 3.7, and these were the results. I ran it through ChatGPT deep research, and these were the results. And then I ran it through Perplexity, and these were the results. Of the 3 results, Sam commented on the ChatGPT one and said, "This is insane." So which leads me to believe that he likes this one, ChatGPT's report using deep research. He then put little comments instead of an intro. I think this could be a super quick snapshot. He said, would be a good idea to get post states if possible so that we can make sure that they're new posts. This said would be good to make out or link out to a URL with a wider report. I would disregard this comment because it's a make it awesome version. But we now have a baseline of with this prompt and the input data of the song title and we can get a report. We can get a report done with GPT's deep research. With a little tweaks, we can probably make it better for him, right? The Perplexity one was also great because it added a lot of numbers, etc., whatever. So he then sent us the chart metric API key so that we can use that to pull any missing data from that we don't have, that isn't showing on here, that we can use from. I then ran his notes through a version 2 of what he sent me. And I also included an additional file that was the marketing plan for this project. So this first one didn't show me, or I didn't include a marketing plan. This one I included their marketing plan and also added some of Sam notes. I then ran it through GPT deep research again and got this. And that's as far as I've gotten with these evals. and like his back and forth notes. I also have this other prompt chain, which is an XML version, and I was going to start running this to see if it's better than just like English version of a prompt. And that's where I'm at so far with like trying to replicate this report with AI. He then sent us 2 other songs that we can test with. So he sent us Disco Lines and Tinashe's No Broke Boys and said, here's the emails. Can we replicate the reporting for Disco Lines and Tinashe No Broke Boys? And then he also sent us Pink Panther's Illegal. And then like, here's the reporting. So we have 2 other variations like that we can run evals on. And the objective would be to get it to a place where he can say, run a release report and give it the artist name and the song title. And it does all the research needed and then sends him and whoever he wants on the email chain a weekly release report that is good enough to remove the need for the human to do it in the loop. So I say all of this because when I asked him how often would he be using this, let me stop my sharing. I think this is a priority because one, when I talked to Steph, this was also something that she said would be awesome, release reports. And she said that her company is very report and presentation heavy. So I think that it'd be a really huge value for everybody, for all of our customers. And then 2 is he said that he would include internal and external partners on the emails. And then I saw like the list, like there was like 20 or 30 people that were getting these reports. And so if we can get this right, and at the bottom of the report, like brand Recoup, so everybody's like, oh, cool. And then also have like, click this button to chat with the report and funnel people so that like they open up the chat, they create a new artist, like get them to schedule reports. It becomes a really, really awesome funnel and flywheel. So I think it's a really awesome sprint. And we have like the human-made version to directly correlate to know like quantitatively, are we hitting, is ours version as good as the human version? So my thought is one of 2 things, and I go back to what you had mentioned earlier, which is like, do we for this just integrate the ChatGPT API, deep research API, and then tweak from there because we know Sam likes the output? Or do we try to stretch Gemini to get the same results as ChatGPT deep research, but for a lot less of the cost? And I'll stop there because I just yapped for a while and get your feedback.
I'm orienting around the priority you'd said before of extending our runway. And so I'm looking up what the cost is, or if it's even included research. Do we know what the model's called?
It's deep research.
I don't think Vercel has it in here. So if we use it, we got to go somewhere else. Right now we're using, let me go to the idea way. It's going to be easier to show. Vercel, Recoupable. Let's check out Open AI Deep Research Pricing.
Well, I mean, if we go off of what you said, the principle of like staying lean and stretching the dollar, then I guess like the question is like, do you think we can do you think that we can get to a demoable, like an MVP demo of release report agent on Flash in a week and a half?
Yeah, if it's the priority and not stuck under other things, yeah.
Then don't even worry about OpenAI deep research. Let's just make our own deep research that's better than OpenAI.
Copy.
So I think those are the two priorities. I think going into next week is create new artist and release report.
And kick billing for after SAM call.
And kick billing until after SAM call. Yeah.
In that case, what I'm leaning on is I see create new artist flow as a prerequisite to release report, because both of them are reliant on us developing tool chains that work with V5 of AI SDK by Vercel instead of relying on a model that does it well. And so we prove it first with our existing tool chain of create new artist flow. We get that into a robust WOW state where we can, with high probability, recreate the same tool chain and get that wow moment on create new artist. Once we have that, it then becomes an easier step to go over and do a new prompt chain for the release report. What are the steps that are involved? What are the essential things versus the things that might get thrown in sometimes and not in others? And how that work would get broken down is I focus on both of those tasks. I start with the create new artist flow and getting that fixed. That way we have the prototype. And then once I finish that, I move on to the release report. And then Veerball stays on bugs. So your bug list we put to him. As I'm building this out, if we find more things, we throw those to him. And we keep him in a more simple state of acting as support.
I like that. I like that for now. I really like it. I also think because the bugs that I sent you, a lot of them were, well, I don't know, the bugs that I sent you, I don't know how much of the two main ones. I don't know if the reason was because of the model and the fact that the prompt chains aren't finishing, right? Like a lot of it was our deep research that's being saved in or deep research. The only main one was besides the model kept asking to continue during create artist was when we did create artist, it was saving Spotify deep research and the knowledge base was just the Spotify data. It didn't include the web data. I don't know if that was because of what you're about to attack and fix. So I don't know if I want to tell Verbal to fix that, but you're actually going to fix it when you do your thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we just put Verbal on pre-existing bugs. So him going into the Superbase table and looking around and being like, okay, this is a bug. This person, net new bugs that are happening, diagnose them, see what's going on, see if he can fix them. And then I would say
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you get charged per user in Superbase, or is it usage and you can invite as many team members as you want?
I think it's per user.
Okay.
A baseline, but I'm okay with adding him. I'm okay adding him if it's a small cost. If it's $10, $20, because we can always remove him if we need to.
Yeah, we'll look at it because I think if the goal is to give him that into Superbase, it will speed up his iteration to be able to do it directly instead of asking me, can you give me the new records? And then I have to get them for him. If he can just go in, it empowers him to not be blocked.
Cool. The other thing I would say, if he has a more an open week, I'd be very curious to see with us giving him more of the freedom to like find errors and fix, like not directly assigning things specifically, what UI improvements he can make. Like there are little things that I keep finding here and there that like they're not big enough to write a ticket or like even bring to your radar, but they're there. Like they're little, like tiny little things, right? And so my question would is if he, instead of him writing a Notion doc and presenting it, like why not just going in and him just fixing little UI mistakes, making the app prettier, making it easier to use, like, you know, fixing, just making it look more professional and easier, and tool UI, etc.
So Veerball's list, any bugs that you have, him going into Supabase for the error logs, and a general audit for UI improvements, no Notion doc, actionable code changes.
Yeah.
Cool. I know we're already over time. The only thing, we have not written success metrics for these unless it's a qualitative. The knowledge base is on par with the other knowledge bases that we had before.
Yes.
And I'm missing your goals for this week.
Yeah. So I'll say knowledge base on par with the other version. It's a qualitative, but we can A/B test to verify. Oh, I just remembered something that he can also do. Remove I mean, I guess you're working on it, so you can do it, but remove segments from the prompt chain of create new artists. Yeah. The other one was release reports. MVP. I don't know how you want to define a qualitative.
I said. Welcome back.
All right, release reports MVP. How you want to define that?
Number of prompts that call or number of scheduled actions that call that tool.
But we're not going to announce it by the end of next week. So there's not going to be any scheduled actions other than you. So it would need to be more of like how close can you get your data or our release report to the human-made one?
In that case, Sam forwards a report that we generate to his team.
Okay. I mean, that will be done by next Tuesday. So I want to, by next Friday, I guess, yeah, we get to a place where we're like happy that we can demo it enough and are confident enough that he'll be wowed by it and then forward it to his team. For me, it is Fat Beats, Cantor Records, Rostrum. Where is my other page? Oh my God. 24, now that they're back. And keeping Tiger on. Those are my 5 that I want to get on the leaderboard.
Fat Beats, 24, Rostrum, Tiger.
And keeping, Cantor, Fat Beats, Rostrum. Yeah, Cantor. Getting them on the leaderboard. And you say
you want them on the leaderboard? Okay.
Yeah. Those are my main customer ones, and then I want to be. I want to make this founder admin a little bit more trustable by simplifying a lot of the data. I feel like I'm just getting overloaded with data here. So how do I simplify it?
How can you make that goal more specific to build momentum and not overwhelming such that you don't end up making any code changes? What's the single most specific change that is adding noise and not adding value that you could focus on? What single metric on that dashboard?
PMF survey ready. Defining this better.
Start with that one, get that one cleaned up, and if you feel momentum after that, go on to others.
Yeah, good call. Good call. All right. Awesome.
What else before I wrap it up?
I think we're good, man. How's everything else going?
In terms of Recoup,
No, in life.
life's good.
Nice. All right, cool. And that's our show.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below of what you want to see us building next. If you're an artist already using Recoup, tell us what your favorite experience is so that we don't break it. If you're not using Recoup and you want to give it a try, go to chat.recoupable.com.